On December 1st, 1955, an African-American woman named Rosa Parks boarded the bus after a long day at work. When she sat in her seat, she continued to ride the bus until the white bus driver asked her to give up her seat for a white man who was on the bus. Her bold choice to remain in her seat sparked the Montgomery bus boycott. And eventually, the bus company was forced to desegregate its buses. This is a story familiar to many of us, and the Montgomery bus boycott is an important factor in the civil rights movement. Now, few people would question if Ms. Parks' actions were influential. However, did Ms. Parks make an ethically sound choice when she chose to remain in her seat? Would Ms. Parks' actions face the Rotary's four-way test? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? We must first ask if Ms. Parks' action was fair to all concerned. The segregation of buses was clearly not fair across the board. There is absolutely no reason why race or any other factor should determine where a person may or may not sit on a bus. She was in the seat first, and therefore she has the right to keep the seat. Ms. Parks once remarked, "I would like to be known as a person who is concerned about freedom and equality and justice and prosperity for all people." Her rationale for refusing to move was altruistic and unselfish, and her goal was to propagate equality. The question of fairness of Ms. Parks' action is answered relatively easily. However, it is much more difficult to ask if Ms. Parks' decision to keep her seat would build goodwill and better friendships. In keeping her seat, Ms. Parks added another dose of ill will to race relations in the South. Tensions were high, and schools and all public places were segregated. And Ms. Parks' action only served to further anger the people of Montgomery. African Americans were angry at the bus driver who called the police, at the white policeman who arrested her, and at the white judge who fined her and sent her to jail. She had angered the white population of Montgomery with her defiance, and white employers took out their frustration on African Americans by firing them. In retaliation, African Americans launched the Montgomery bus boycott and refused to ride the segregated buses for 381 days. For 381 days, the bus companies lost 75% of their passengers. For 381 days, there was no better goodwill or better friendships to speak of. The Montgomery bus boycott only worsened the tensions of segregation and racism in the South. The lingering question is whether Ms. Parks' action was beneficial to all concerned. All concerned is not limited to just the people of Montgomery. All concern encompasses all the people who could potentially be affected by Ms. Parks' decision, in her generation and the ones after it, in her community and beyond it. Though her actions did not build goodwill in the short term, Ms. Parks made a choice that was beneficial to all concerned in the long term. As a result of her decision to remain in her seat and the power of the Montgomery bus boycott, buses were eventually desegregated and people of any race could sit in any place that they pleased. Her choice was an important step forward towards bettering the lives of minorities across the country. Ms. Parks remarked that the memories of our lives, of our works, and our deeds will continue in others. She was acutely aware of her potential to set an example in her life that could be applied to the lives of others. Ms. Parks chose to keep her seat 54 years ago, but her choice still resonates, both with the American public at large and within each individual's conscience. Certainly her choice was politically symbolic and influential, but additionally and more importantly, Ms. Parks set an example of how to make choices. She did not do what was easy, she did not do what was comfortable, and she did not do what people around her expected. She made a difficult choice. Her choice was a fair action and a step towards building better relations between people of different races in the future, even though it was detrimental to people of different races in the present. And ultimately, she benefited the American people. Her choice was a benefit to all concerned. We as members of this generation should strive to make choices as she did, thinking about the long-term effects of our actions and seeking to create a better future, even if it comes at our own personal expense. Thank you.